Have you ever wondered why car accidents seem to be so common? Like a modern-day epidemic, crashes are like a ticking clock, waiting to explode. These videos will draw you in, as if you were watching a blockbuster, but instead of beautiful shots, you're treated to the crashes and collisions that only reality can provide. Just click away, and you'll be transported to an incredibly dramatic world of spectacular stunts, with the lesson that careful driving turns out to be not just a good thing, but a lifesaver. The plane, after a smooth flight, suddenly encounters a rare problem: the landing gear malfunctions, unable to operate as expected. Despite the pilot's efforts to fix it, the plane crashes into the grass, eventually catching fire. He was driving comfortably on a two-way road when he suddenly saw a car from the opposite direction lose control, skid through the grass barrier, and crash into his car, just like in a movie. When driving on a two-way road, always pay attention, because accidents can happen from any direction, even if you have done nothing wrong. As the helicopter prepares to take off, our pilot decides to rummage through the cabin. While turning back to get something, he accidentally hits the control lever. The result? The plane tilts to one side, like a drunken bird flapping its wings, before falling into a spectacular acrobatic performance. He was turning the car around a tight curve when, for some reason, he hugged the curve so tightly that the car tilted and flipped over. Fortunately, he was safe, only the car was not intact. At an air show, everything seems so glamorous until the plane's engine starts smoking. The pilot, whose acrobatic skills have wowed the audience, suddenly falls into chaos. The plane loses control and plummets into the water. Luckily, the pilot manages to jump out and swim to shore. A happy ending, albeit a rather wet one. In the pouring rain, he was racing down the road like a confident racer, until the steering wheel suddenly betrayed him, sending him straight into the two-way barrier. When driving in the rain, slow down and adjust the steering carefully. Don't let your confidence fool you in adverse weather conditions. The helicopter was flying wildly in the sky while picking up researchers from the world's highest mountain range. The wind was so strong that the pilot could not control it. Eventually, the inevitable accident happened. On every flight, always monitor the weather conditions and make sure you are ready to deal with unexpected situations. The plane had just left the runway when suddenly, the engine caught fire because a flock of pigeons accidentally flew into it. In the tense situation, the pilot handled the situation quickly and landed safely, saving the lives of hundreds of passengers. He was comfortably cruising on the highway when suddenly the two cars in front of him collided as if they had forgotten how to operate. There was no warning signal, causing the car behind, in panic, to not have time to brake. And so, a series of collisions in the dark night began. The private plane, while flying high in the sky, had a problem and was forced to make an emergency landing on a road. Although the plane caught fire slightly, the pilot was lucky to escape without injury. This situation shows that staying calm and quickly assessing the situation can save your life in emergency situations. In the middle of a snowy winter, the car suddenly lost control and crashed straight into the side of the road, then flipped over. Miraculously, the driver came out unharmed. When driving in heavy snow, slow down and keep a steady grip on the steering wheel. Always be prepared for any unexpected situations to ensure your own safety. The plane, while preparing to land, suddenly encountered a problem when the wheels could not be lowered properly. The pilot, in this difficult situation, had to choose to land with only 2 wheels still working. Despite the extreme stress, fortunately, the plane landed safely without any casualties. When you see a traffic light that is not working, always slow down and pay attention to other vehicles. Calmness and caution will help you avoid unnecessary accidents. One dark night, he was driving when he suddenly discovered a car parked on the side of the road that he had not noticed before. Luckily, his timely avoidance only caused his car to lightly scrape the curb. When driving at night, always focus on observing carefully. A moment of distraction can lead to unexpected, dangerous situations. The large truck was rolling down the road when suddenly the rear brakes decided to take a day off. In a split second, the driver quickly realized the problem and quietly pulled the car over to the side of the road. He was driving in the afternoon when he suddenly lost control and the car crashed straight into the curb. Luckily, no one was there at the time. Always check your car carefully before driving, especially in hot weather. Losing control of your car for just a few seconds can lead to serious consequences. He was comfortably cruising on the highway when suddenly the 2 cars in front of him collided as if they had forgotten how to operate. There was no warning signal, causing the car behind, in panic, to not have time to brake. And so, a series of collisions in the dark night began. He was driving peacefully when suddenly, a car from behind rushed forward and crashed straight into the back of his car. The collision startled him, but fortunately no one was injured. Always pay attention to the rearview mirror and keep a safe distance from surrounding vehicles to react promptly in any unexpected situations. He was driving leisurely when the container in front began to slow down, causing him to almost crash into it. Fortunately, with a little agility, he managed to avoid the collision. Always pay attention to keeping a safe distance from the car in front. Reacting quickly is good, but being prepared will help you avoid many dangerous situations.
Камера 60.
On a rainy evening, his car suddenly lost control and crashed straight into the barrier of a two-way street. The wheels rubbed against the road, sparks flew, and the car flipped over. Fortunately, he only suffered minor scratches. He was driving leisurely when he suddenly saw a car rushing forward, recklessly overtaking another car. Due to lack of safety distance, the other car suddenly flipped over. When driving, always maintain a safe distance from other cars. Rushing to overtake can lead to serious consequences that no one wants to face. Always maintain a safe distance from the car in front to avoid unexpected situations. Carefulness is the best way to prevent unnecessary accidents. While he was leisurely walking on the road, a car suddenly appeared from a small road. The other driver's wide turn forced him to turn the wheel, and as a result, he crashed straight into a lamppost on the side of the road. Always pay attention to small turns and be prepared for unexpected situations. Being careful with speed and distance will help you avoid unnecessary accidents. In bad weather conditions, drive slowly and steadily. Always check the tires to ensure good traction, avoiding the risk of unforeseen slippery roads. On a day when it was snowing heavily and thick fog obscured everything, he lost control and crashed straight into a nearby house. Fortunately, no one in the house was injured. In the dim light of the evening, he was moving slowly when suddenly the car in front, which was parked on the side of the road, decided to turn around just as he arrived, and a collision occurred. When driving at night, always be on guard for unexpected situations, especially when other cars make sudden turns. Maintaining a reasonable speed and concentration are important to avoid collisions. The car was speeding down the road when suddenly the front wheel made a loud bang, causing it to sway like a clumsy dancer on stage. The driver, in the decisive moment, quickly handled the tense situation skillfully. Always pay attention to your surroundings when driving, especially on narrow or unfamiliar roads. Vigilance is necessary to avoid unexpected dangerous situations. When driving in bad weather, especially when it is raining, always maintain a safe distance from the car in front. Being prepared and attentive can help you avoid unwanted collisions. Is it side due? He was driving when suddenly the oil tanker pulled too close, causing a slight collision with the front of his car, as if the truck was testing his patience. He was driving, lost in thought, when he suddenly noticed an accident ahead. The car stopped suddenly, causing him to lightly hit the car in front. Always stay focused and keep a safe distance when driving, especially in an unpredictable situation like an accident ahead. He was driving when the car on the right, as if it had a mind of its own, suddenly lost control, swerved in front of his car and caused a surprisingly light collision. When you see another car showing signs of losing control, slow down and keep a safe distance. Calmness and careful observation will help you avoid collisions. He was driving when suddenly drowsiness came over him, causing him to lose control. The car swerved, gradually approaching the barrier between the two lanes and finally overturned miserably. Never underestimate drowsiness when driving. Stop and rest as soon as you feel tired to avoid unnecessary accidents. One dark night, he was driving comfortably until the car in front of him turned on its turn signal. In a moment of distraction, he lightly hit the back of that car. When driving at night, always pay close attention to the situation ahead. A slight loss of concentration can lead to an unnecessary collision. When driving, especially in areas with heavy traffic, always keep a safe distance to avoid unwanted surprises. Staying calm and attentive is the key to protecting yourself and others. The large truck, which was leisurely rolling on the road, suddenly made a warning pop sound. The tire exploded, but fortunately, the driver managed to turn the steering wheel to the side, avoiding an imminent disaster. When driving, always pay attention to your surroundings and be ready to react quickly. Staying calm and having the ability to steer at the right time can help you avoid unwanted accidents. When stopping at a red light at an intersection, always observe carefully before moving. A little attention can prevent unwanted collisions. When driving at night, slow down and pay attention. Your eyes may not be able to see everything clearly, but being careful can help you avoid unnecessary collisions. When driving on the road, always keep an eye on the signals of other vehicles and prepare for unexpected situations. Attention and quick reflexes can help you avoid unnecessary collisions. The big truck swayed and lost control, all because he thought he was too subjective. When the bad situation happened, his reflexes were almost gone, and the car rushed straight to the side of the road like a bad joke of fate. Never be subjective when driving. Any overconfidence can lead to unforeseen accidents. While driving in a dreamy mood, he did not realize that he was approaching the curb, just a little bit of distraction, and he crashed straight into a nearby tree, shattering the windshield. Always stay focused when driving and avoid distractions. Even a little bit of distraction can lead to unwanted incidents. The black car, as if it had something important to do, rushed forward aggressively, but in just a split second, its exposed rear end hit the front of the truck. The result? A spectacular slide and the car lost control, plunging straight into the curb. He had been driving for a long time, so tired that he could no longer distinguish between the steering wheel and his hands. While he was driving on a familiar road, his eyes were suddenly attracted by a box lying on the side of the road. Fortunately, every driver seemed to be sensitive to the situation, avoiding the box without anyone rushing into it like a disaster of fate. While he was driving on a familiar road, his eyes were suddenly attracted by a box lying on the side of the road. Fortunately, every driver seemed to be sensitive to the situation, avoiding the box without anyone rushing into it like a disaster of fate. The black car, as if it had something important to do, rushed forward aggressively, but in just a split second, its exposed rear end hit the front of the truck. The result? A spectacular slide and the car lost control, plunging straight into the curb. bad weather? Always reduce speed and keep a greater distance than usual. Rain and fog can reduce visibility, so caution and slowness are necessary to protect yourself and others. One early morning, when the first light of day was just rising from the horizon, he saw a car lose control, swaying like a drunk dancer. But then, as if waking up from a dream, the car stabilizes and continues to move calmly. Always make sure your vision is not obstructed when driving, especially on bends. A moment of carelessness can turn a safe road into a nightmare. As he was cruising down the peaceful road, a truck suddenly stopped right in front of him, causing the hood of his car to pop open, blocking his view. Unable to react in time, he crashed straight into the back of the truck, ending in an unavoidable collision. The car suddenly changed lanes spontaneously and slowed down without caring about the existence of the cars behind. The result? The truck behind, despite trying to avoid it, still could not escape the cruel collision. It was drizzling, and he was driving in a dense traffic. In front, the cars on both sides suddenly slowed down, making it more difficult to move. Fortunately, no accident happened. Always keep a safe distance from the car in front, especially in bad weather, to avoid unwanted risks. The road was bumpy with traffic cones dotted like obstacles, but he still accelerated and crossed at a carefree speed. Fortunately, no one was accidentally caught in that recklessness. Slow down and pay attention to the signs when passing through the road repair section, because luck does not always go hand in hand with subjectivity. It was raining heavily, the intersection was dark, and the lazy traffic light refused to work. He and the other car quietly slid into each other, like two friends meeting again after a long time apart. A slight collision, but enough to wake up from a dream. When encountering a broken traffic light, slow down and pay close attention to avoid an accident.